Good evening and welcome.
Don't break his gavel.
I am Mike Alderson, Vice President of Commissioners of St. Mary's County. Commissioner President Guy is not able to join us this evening. Before I introduce the other commissioners, I ask that you please turn off your cell phones or turn them on vibrate. Sitting to my right, residing in the 1st Commissioner District, which includes Ridge, Piney Point, and St. George's Island, Eric Colvin.
Good evening.
Residing in the 2nd Commissioner District, which includes Leonardtown and Hollywood, Mike Hewitt.
Good morning. Just kidding. Good evening.
Sitting to my left, out there on his island, residing in the 4th Commissioner District, which includes Lexington Park, some of California, Great Mills, and some of Hollywood, Scott Ostro.
Good evening.
Sitting at the end of the dais is David Weiskopf, our County Administrator.
Hello.
Jenna Guzman, our Communications Director, is seated at the table to my right.
Good evening.
Julie Birch, our timekeeper for this evening, is sitting in the front row. And our video production team is sitting behind the glass. Ms. Guzman will now provide the format for tonight's public forum.
Thank you. Good evening. Here are the guidelines for tonight's public forum. All speakers who wish to address the commissioners are asked to please sign up in the lobby. When signing up, it is critical that your name and mailing address are clearly written. This allows us to provide written follow-up to any questions or concerns that you may share tonight. Please note that for privacy reasons, we are no longer asking speakers to state their full address on camera, only the city or town in which you reside. Providing a clearly written address on the sign-up sheet ensures that you receive a response. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the commissioners. At the end of the 3 minutes, I will let you know that your time has expired. We ask you to please respect the time limit to give all those who wish to speak an opportunity to be heard. This public forum will be televised live on St. Mary's County Government TV Channel 95 and streamed to our YouTube channel. It is critical that you speak directly into the microphone so that those watching at home can hear you. The forum will re-air on Channel 95 this Saturday at 9 and Sunday at 8 p.m. and will remain available for on-demand viewing on our YouTube channel. We'll now begin accepting comments from those who have signed up to speak. First, we will have Kurt Engel. If you could please come up to the microphone and begin by stating your name and city or town of residence for the record.
Good evening. I'm Kurt Engel from Tall Timbers. I'm here to speak about 2 topics, the first being the recent letter that the Board of Commissioners wrote concerning the government shutdown. I think everyone agrees that the shutdown has gone on long enough and it is time to move forward, but I find your letter has a glaring error. It claims to be a bipartisan plea to reopen the government, but it's only written to the members of the Congress from one party, Senators Alsobrook, Van Hollen, and Schumer, all members of the Democratic Party, and in fact, not leaders of either the Senate or the House. The leadership of the House is Speaker Johnson, and the Senate is Senator Thune. My conclusion is you're either playing political games and putting your partisan support above the needs of your constituents, or either want to pretend care about the effects of the government shutdown. As a constituent, I find this letter to be insulting to our intelligence. The second topic is the redevelopment of the Piney Point Terminal. I attended an information session held by Offshore Aviation Group last night and now better understand their plans, but some concerns remain. The first issue is the proximity of the proposed airfield to my neighborhood, the landings at Piney Point. The runway environment, as described last night, will be less than 1,500 feet from our neighborhood. This is too close. When we bought our home over 6 years ago, there was no airport. Now they want to add one, and that is not okay. Removing the tanks is certainly in everyone's interest, and I support that effort. But adding a general aviation airport that close to the neighborhoods and schools is not safe and not necessary. The county has an airport that's well equipped to service and operate any outside visiting aircraft that have business with OAG, but they do not need to operate private aircraft at Piney Point. They also mentioned building a separate seaplane base. This, I believe, is a pure vanity project with no apparent connection to the business plan for building and testing Class 1 through 3 UAS. Operating seaplanes from Piney Point Creek, which is quite shallow, would be challenging and would likely put air operations even closer to the houses. Not a good plan. I am not an anti-growth citizen, just an advocate for smart growth in the right place. The property is currently zoned industrial, and building and testing Class 1 through 3 UAS sounds like a good use of the property. Building a private, specialized, limited airport to operate general aviation aircraft is not. I am asking the commissioners to make any zoning permits for the redevelopment of Piney Point Terminal to stipulate that the air operations be confined to Class 1 through 3 UAS systems only. Thank you.
Janelle Gardner.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Janelle Gardner from Drayton, Maryland. I am the founder of JAG Consulting, an HR consulting firm serving small businesses here in St. Mary's County and across the state of Maryland. I appreciate the opportunity to share information and insight about the Maryland Family Medical Leave Insurance FAMLI program and what it means for our local employers. This program was created with good intent to provide Maryland employees with paid leave for family and medical leave or needs. However, in practice, this program will require every employer, even those with a single Maryland employee, to track, withhold, remit contributions to a new state fund. For many small business owners, those who wear every hat from payroll to management, these requirements can quickly add up. Beginning in 2027, Maryland businesses will be required to start these contributions with benefits available to the employees in 2028. Employers with fewer than 15 employees will still need to withhold the employee portion, while larger employers will share the contribution. These amounts may sound small on paper, but for a business that's trying to balance payroll, insurance, and supplies, every fraction matters. Most employers in St. Mary's County are small or mid-sized. They don't have full HR departments, and often the owner is the HR department. When new regulations arrive with limited clarity, such as family, it can slow hiring, delay wage growth, and pull focus away from the day-to-day work that keeps our community thriving. Commissioners, I share this today not in opposition of the goals of the family program, but in concern for how it's being implemented. And I encourage you to share our local perspective with our state leaders, to call for a full review and repeal of the current FAMLI structure so Maryland can craft a version that truly supports both the workers and the small businesses who employ them. After all, 86.8% of Maryland businesses are under 20 employees. Thank you for your time and your continued commitment to supporting the employers and employees of St. Mary's County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Ludwig.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. Hunger is not defined by political beliefs, religious beliefs, ethnicity, immigration status, race, social standing, age, job status, fame, and wealth. Health care is not limited by political beliefs, religious beliefs, ethnicity, immigration status, race, social standing, age, job status, fame, or wealth. These conditions touch every one of us, if not personally, certainly by awareness of those that may be suffering around us. So we seek solutions, but find none with our government at all levels. Our local politicians imply that we can do nothing about the situation, it is all the fault of the Democrats, and that we should write our representatives in Congress and ask them to open the government. Such a waste of time and major deflection when we realize the seriousness of our future. I say, stop casting blame, ridiculing and making nasty criticisms of whom you assume may or may not be responsible for our government closure. This helps no one except those who are anxious to avoid being blamed for the situation. Who cares who is to blame if nothing is ever done to find a solution. We should follow the positive examples of some of our local businesses, churches, and other organizations. Free meals are being offered at restaurants for folks on furlough. Fresh vegetables are being given away at Ascension Church for anyone who wants to come and participate. The food pantries are very active. We were there today at Ascension Church, and thanks to everyone, they are overflowing with donations, and that's a wonderful thing. The donations will go away, but everybody seems to be making that extra effort. Our local school board is working to ensure that SNAP-eligible children will receive their benefits. Governor Wes Moore released a large amount of funds to assist also in alleviating the situation. Forget solving the big picture problem. Look around you, next door, your neighborhood, workplace, schools. Find someone who needs assistance and give them that help. A community builds one person at a time. Be that person who can make a positive difference. Your reward will be much greater for your effort. Whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers, that you do unto me, is from the Bible. And there is the golden rule for everyone.
Time has expired. Please wrap up.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Thank you.
Anne Marie Abel.
Anne Marie Abel, Leonardtown, Chair of the St. Mary's County Democratic Central Committee. Good evening. In St. Mary's County, all 4 of the district commissioners and Board of Education members are elected by an at-large voting system. This means the entire county gets to vote for all the commissioners and Board of Education candidates, regardless of which resident district they or the candidates resides. Everybody gets to vote for everybody. Wait, what? Yes, you heard that right. St. Mary's County uses resident districts to ensure geographic representation. That's a good 20th century development. Yet here we are, 25 years into the 21st century, and St. Mary's is stuck with an at-large voting system that gives the middle finger to true democratic representation to our county. If district-based voting is good enough for our legislative and congressional districts, then it's good enough for our commissioner and board of election districts. Did you know that a commissioner or board of education member can be elected to represent the district they reside in without having won the majority of their resident district voters? Yes, it's true, and it's happened here in 2014 and 2022. The 20th century at-large voting system has the effect of candidates picking their voters. They can and do selectively campaign around the county. Huh, you say? Yeah, it's a pick-your-voter campaign strategy of getting the votes of residents in other districts to outvote other parts of the county. They win and their district loses because their votes have been diluted and their voice muted. The county as a whole can silence other districts from having the representation it wants and deserves. So, elected officials can willfully ignore the voters in their district while governing, even voting against their district's interests, because after all, they really don't need their district's votes to win. That has happened too. When voters want to hold accountable their representatives' actions and decisions, they can voice their displeasure by voting them out in the next election cycle, except with at-large. It's made mute by the rest of the county. I call it retention insurance. It makes it harder to vote them out. We have district-based voting for our state legislative and congressional districts for authentic accountability, so very needed at the county level. If it's good enough for our legislative and congressional districts, it's good enough for our commissioner and board of election districts. I strongly urge the county commissioners to put county voters' interests first for better representation and change how St. Mary's elects its district county commissioners and board of education representatives to a district-based system. a truly democratic and representative system. Say it with me. If it's good enough for our legislative and congressional districts, it's good enough for our commissioner and board of election districts. Thank you.
Jane Cipher. Jane Cipher. Thank you. Lawrence Joy.
Lawrence Joy, Hollywood. You'll know, whoever was looking at the list, you'll see I really didn't expect to have to speak. I thought everything I wanted to say would be covered. So bear with me. The one thing that I haven't heard mentioned is I'd like the commissioners to tell me, somebody to tell me, how many individuals have been turned over to ICE since the Sheriff's Department agreed to do that. I'm very curious. I heard this, I saw the publication and saw that that was supposed to happen. It concerns me. It doesn't seem right to me. But again, if somebody's really broken a real law, I suppose that's legitimate. Also, you've already heard comments about the letter that the commissioners sent to Democratic representatives, and besides all the other questions that were raised, I just wonder what that says about your concerns for the health of St. Mary's County people. As I understand it, where we are now is that Democrats are trying to save a lot of health care for a lot of people, which would include St. Mary's Countyans. So I just am curious as to how you could justify not sending that to Republicans as well as Democrats. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Lawrence Ludwig.
Evening, Commissioners. First of all, thank you for your service. It's appreciated. I'm going to talk about, I'm Lawrence Ludwig, and I live in Leonardtown. I want to talk about everybody's favorite subject, the county budget. During the budget hearings that you just had, there was a particular person of some political prominence who said they didn't want to pay any taxes. They want you to lower their taxes as much as they can. They don't care how you do it. Well, during my participation in the Citizens Academy, I got a chance to get a feeling of a sense of how our county budgets are spent. It just gives a more complete picture. Local taxes are for public safety, public education, and as I've heard some of you say, for the quality of life of people in this county. Now, I've been on a few boards in my lifetime, a few commissions, and a few organizations, and everything's all about the money. We're always very careful how the money is spent. You have a budget, you got to stick to it. So what I'm saying is I would advise anybody who wants to understand how the county budget is spent to sign up for the Citizens Academy. I think they would learn a whole lot more. They may not agree with how you spend it, but at least they know have some semblance of where the money is going. And that's all I have to say about that. And I would just like on the side to thank our public servants who work for this county for the work they do too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Roy Fetters.
Good evening, Roy Fetters, Damron, Maryland. Just want to bring to your attention, we had, during the hurricane season, 2 of the storm tropical systems started coming up the coast. Thankfully, they went out to sea. We also had a nor'easter a little bit earlier in the season than they anticipated. Fox Weather at one point said that was going to enter and turn and go straight into the Chesapeake Bay would not be good for us, of course. And thankfully, that one did not turn, as they said, in our direction. With all that information, then we had another one a little bit later on, too, another nor'easter, but that one didn't materialize as much around here. It did further north in the northeast United States. With all that said, when these things were happening, I was trying to get in touch with what I was told was our emergency management director. There's a difference between emergency services director and emergency management director. Emergency services is more present. Emergency management is more planning and organizing and stuff, for emergency management type of thing that they need to do. And I've been trying to get in touch with what I was told as emergency services or director or emergency management director, whichever one she is, and could not get in touch with the one that Eric, you told me about. And I tried for the last several weeks, left phone messages and so forth, and my return phone number, of course. And that's alarming to me because, public needs to, they need to get in touch with someone like that, need to do that on the spot, because since then, this last storm we had, supposed to have been just a 2-foot storm surge. We had over a 3-foot storm surge. It flooded St. John's Neck Road in 2 different areas. It was so bad towards the end of the road, it backed up in the ditch, flowed in the ditch, back up further up St. John's Neck Road and flooded that area in 2 different spots on St. John's Neck Road. If it was any deeper, then your school buses would not be able to enter there. And then your children would not be able to get to school through there because that's all salt water, not fresh water that's flooding the road. It's a big difference. Salt water is not good for vehicles, as you may or may not know. And we're always told, you hear it on the news all the time, turn around, don't drown. So I'm kind of alarmed that, no one returned my call, so I could talk to them about the issues there and alert them to what's going on down there. And since no one returned my call, I doubt no one's aware of the problem we have down there. You hear a lot about St. George's Island, but certainly don't hear about the issues in any other part of the county. Thank you.
Mike Schwartz.
How y'all doing? I'm Mike
Well,
Schwartz.
sir.
I own Mike's Bikes in Lexington Park. A couple things I'd like to talk about. I'm probably going to run way over, but I've recently had some interactions with the Sheriff's Department and the dispatching of the Sheriff's Department. It's come to my attention that it is not part of the Sheriff's Department. It doesn't work very well. I waited 45 minutes, no one came. I called 911, they came, said they never got the first call at all. It's not the first time something like this has happened. There's no accountability in the dispatch department because it's not part of the police department. It needs to be put over and become part of the sheriff's department again so they have a little more professionalism and a lot more accountability. While I'm up here, I'd like to thank you all for spending the money so that these kids up at Southern Maryland BMX can get some new turns and stuff. That was vital to what they're doing. They're starting to fall down. We had that first batch of turns for about 20 years. So I'd like to thank you all for that. What else do we have here? It's come to my attention that 88% of the kids at Carver and Lexington Park Elementary School are impoverished. The only real way to beat poverty is education. I'm just wondering, are these bookmobiles, which is a great idea out of the library, are they going to these poor neighborhoods? Because they should be. They should be there a lot. Like I said, if you have to support these poor schools and promote as much education for these kids as possible. Let's face it, that's the only way out. Okay? I'm also going to tell you something you probably don't want to hear. The Route 5 that was recently redone from Leonardtown Hollywood Road down to the shopping center down there, It was really poorly done. There should be turn lanes throughout the entire length of that distance, and there should be bike lanes and or sidewalks in the entire length of that distance so people could walk from the middle of Leonardtown down to where the food line is and all that. You know, I'm not sure who designed that, but I don't think they did a very good job. Okay, here. Oh, I got 20 seconds. Frisbee golf, the disc golf course. Bunch of really good people, done a lot of good work on that. But recently, to try to throw a tournament, $200 event fee, $200 pavilion fee.
Your time's expired. Please wrap up.
$25 an hour for 12 hours for staff, a $50 non-refundable application fee. Like you don't want to have events out there, I guess. Charles County, it's $18 an hour. So that's where all the tournaments have been. That course brings people in from out of county. And it definitely needs a better price structure for having a little tournament out there at this course that, by the way, these people pretty much have built, designed, redesigned, rebuilt. One of the things they want to do is put in junior tees for the kids, but they figure if they can't afford to throw tournaments, they can't do it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later.
Candace Hicks.
Good evening. Candace Hicks, Lexington Park, Maryland. I want to bring before your attention mentoring programs in St. Mary's County specifically. There are many mentoring programs in Charles County as well as Prince George's County, but very few in St. Mary's County. In 2019, God placed a ministry in my heart called Refined Diamonds, Inc. for teen girls in Southern Maryland. However, we didn't get up to full speed because of the pandemic, as well as the passing of my parents within a year of one another. However, in spite of that, the vision that God gave me never died. In the midst of all of this financial difficulties in the government and political sides fighting one another, please do not forget about our youth. And I'm going to read you what our mission statement is. Refined Diamonds, Inc. is a mentoring program serving teen girls in Southern Maryland that have hidden exceptional characteristics and potential for greatness. Our vision is to boldly impact the Southern Maryland region by refining distinguished young ladies to become women of excellence that will effectively impact their local communities through their purpose, creativity, and character. There is a need for Refined Diamonds, Inc. As you see, I have the shirt. Prior to COVID, the Honorable Judge Stamm came and spoke to my teen girls, as well as Judge Greer in Charles County Circuit Court, as well as Delegate Edith Patterson. So I am asking you for your financial support as well as your prayers as I move forward in relaunching Refined Diamonds, Inc. and getting it reinstated. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your support. And please remember that this diamond represents all the young girls in Southern Maryland that have been forgotten about, regardless of their race or socioeconomic status. They are our next future. So if we do not sow into the current generation, what will be the outcome of our future generation? So please remember that it is my purpose, with your support, to refine one diamond at a time, which is our mission statement, our slogan rather. And please remember, in order for a diamond to become a diamond, it has to go through a tedious process. It doesn't start off as a diamond. So I am motivated to go out and find the girls that have been forgotten about, that have been involved in the juvenile justice system, that have just been a complete wreck that the county may overlook, that the school system may overlook. And let's take our youth and make them into the shining diamonds that they are, specifically our teen girls. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amelia Yunker.
Amelia Yunker, Lexington Park, Maryland. I had a number of topics that I could have spoken about, but I'm focusing on a topic that is likely impacting the county more than any other concern that I have. More than 10,000 individuals, or more than 10% of the county, is on food stamps, so I'm dedicating my time to them. I've gathered 3 different lists of local food pantries. None of the lists appear to be all-inclusive and therefore have compiled them here today. I would appreciate if someone in the gallery who hasn't spoken yet would voluntarily yield their time to me, as I can't complete this list in the allotted 3-minute time frame. The Immaculate Heart of Mary in Lexington Park, 3 Notch Road, 301-863-8193. Lexington Park Baptist Church, 301-862-2552 in Lexington Park. Trinity Lutheran on Shangri-La Drive, 301-863-9512. First Saints Church, near MedStars St. Mary's Hospital, 301-475-7200. The meal delivery through the county, 301-475-4200, extension 1060, for delivered meals for seniors 60 years or older. The Church of the Ascension Pantry in Lexington Park, 301-863-8551. St. Mary's Caring Soup Kitchen in Great Mills, 301-863-5700. Three Oaks Food Pantry in Lexington Park, 301-863-9535. Lifestyles in Lexington Park, 240-237-8236. St. Vincent de Paul Food Pantry in Lexington Park, 301-863-8193. The Little Free Libraries are at the Lexington Park and the Charlotte Hall and Leonardtown Libraries. They're open 24/7. Come as you can. Zion United Methodist Church in Lexington Park, 301-863-5161. Trinity Care Pantry in Lexington Park, 301-863-9512. Feed My Sheep Food Pantry in Lexington Park, 301-862-2552. Powerhouse Apostolic Ministries in Lexington Park, 240-538-7219. The Mission in Lexington Park, 240-718-8911. Helping Hands in Mechanicsville, 240-496-0727. Let's see here. Loaves and Fishes, Leonardtown, 301-475-7200.
Your time has expired. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Alderson, that was the last person we had signed up to speak tonight, so I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. If anybody who did not sign up would like to speak, now is your chance.
If you could please start by stating your name and town of residence for the record.
Hi, my name is Natalie Campbell. Residence is 22034 Daffodil Court, Leonardtown, Maryland. I'm a resident of St. Mary's County and the mother of 3 little boys. My oldest is a 2nd grader at Duke Elementary School, which he's loved and we've loved. We've been very blessed to have the wonderful teachers and staff over there. And I'm standing in front of you today because over the last year or so, especially since my son's been in school and then especially through the last budget cycle, I've been disappointed and frustrated with how the funding of the school system seems to have been deprioritized. And I request that be a consideration in this next upcoming budget cycle. You may or may not be aware there's a Bayonet article that's been circulating today about special needs students and the lack of support that they're receiving. We're going through a redistricting process, of course. I'm sure that you're all well aware of that. I just really want to communicate that our schools need to be a priority. That this is what the population of the base and folks that come down here and stay down here, they do it in part because of the education that their children will receive, and that is certainly true for me. So I request that we don't play the games that we did last cycle where you flat funded our school system. There are unfunded mandates that came down from the state of Maryland that they have no control over, and I'm sure you're well aware of that. But in my opinion, and that our school system needs to be a priority for this county. And that is all that I had to say. Thank you.
And just to be clear, we didn't flat fund the schools.
Name and city for the record, please.
Good evening, Dolly Griffin, Lexington Park, Maryland. Just want to say that the warm season will be starting November 9th. If anyone in the audience would like to be a van driver for our program, please email warmsecretary1@gmail.com, and we would be happy to have you participate in our warm program. And thank you, Mr. Colvin, for your shout out on Sunday. So we're looking for all the support we can get in St. Mary's County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Name and city for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Reverend Dr. Andrea Cummings, and I live in Great Mills. I am the pastor of Zion United Methodist Church in Lexington Park. And as many of you know, we have Mike here in the house. He has supported St. Mary's County with the Mike's Food Fund for 45 years. And he's retiring from that, and Zion is taking over that this year. So if those are here in here and would like to be a part of donating and volunteering with us, we will be glad to partner with you and continue on serving our community, as we know that food needs are exasperated, and so we want to be there to support our community without any gaps. So if you want to fund monetarily, with your time, in those ways, we'll love to partner with you. I don't have the letters with me today, but I can get it out to the commissioners and those in here. I'll be around if you want to talk to me more about that. But I just want to say thank you to Mike for having a heart to continue to serve this community for 45 years. And Zion is here, and we're going to continue to serve our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last call.
Hello, my name is Ciandra Scott. I'm a resident here in St. Mary's County. I usually don't speak. I wanted to say thank you to the commissioners when the lady back here, not from our county, you're not from the county, right? You're new here? Yeah, Ms. Hicks? No, I was talking about Ms. Hicks. I just wanted to make you aware we have like 6 young ladies mentoring programs that the commissioners have assisted with direction or resources. Stella's Girls, Compassionate Hearts, Building Bridges. I can name 3 more that assist with mentoring. So I invite you to join in with one of the organizations. I could speak to you after the meeting to give you the contact names and phone numbers, because they have been around and they seek young ladies and assist them through STEM programs, through even Girl Scouts, being one-on-one, life skills, teaching, education, tutoring, as well as the churches. And I'm just talking about Lexington Park and Great Mills specifically, but it goes all the way up to Charlotte Hall, and it goes all the way down to Ridge. Those programs are there. We'd like you to join.
Hi, Sheila Milburn, Lexington Park, Maryland. 2 things. I want to thank the commissioners. I volunteered at both of the Feed St. Mary food drives, food giveaways. And in light of what's going on, I don't know if you have the capacity, but it would be nice if we could possibly get another one of those for our county residents before the end of the year. First thing. Second thing, also as a realtor, I understand that there is definitely a housing shortage in St. Mary's County. My pet peeve has always been that when we think about housing, we always think about townhouses or condos. And that's nice, but I actually have qualified persons, because of injuries and surgeries, they can't do steps. You know, so can we look at some maybe mid-income housing in some of the areas and stop trying to always do townhouses? That's just it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we appreciate your input. It is an important part of our deliberation and decision-making. You can be assured that each of your concerns will be addressed, and you will be contacted by us or one of our staff to follow up information. We will now close the public forum.